What's up, guys? This is another episode of Off the Post, and I'm your host, DJ, dressed up real nice, red cap. And yes, today is, I guess we would call it Professional Day or something like that, because we're all wearing shirt and ties. Well, a few of us are. But our special guest, she wasn't informed about this, so that's fine. But she can still hang out with us. As you know, we're going to do our NWSL review. We're going to ask her about the teams, what she's heard and what she's seen from the teams as far as some of the ones that she's played against, or some of the ones that she just heard stuff about around the league. We'll go to her first and ask her what not to. Kim, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. We appreciate you being on. This should be a fun episode with you, so just
Thank you
sit
for
back
having
and
me.
Oh, not a problem. Anytime, anytime. All right, let's go over to Jen. You're looking mighty spiffy. How are you doing?
Thanks. I busted up the Boba Fett bow tie for today. I'm doing good. I'm still a little tired. It was a long weekend, but other than that, pretty good. Got back safely from Maryland, so I guess that's what's important.
Okay, cool. And then we can expect another episode of that Spirit Fan from you?
Yep, you have the video, so as soon as we get them all cut, they'll be ready to upload and go.
Oh, thanks for throwing that in my lap. I appreciate it. So now they're going to be waiting for me to do that work. All right. And then let's go to our other Jen Hayes. What have you been up to lately?
It's been a long weekend for me as well, too. Technology issues and whatnot, but I'm doing well.
Oh, that's good to hear. So, and you're also going to be on another show, aren't you?
Yes, at 8 o'clock tonight, I will be making an appearance on the Midfield Report, our new friends.
Yeah. Yay, good for you. I'm glad you got new friends. All right, guys. If you want to say anything to us in this episode, I use the hashtag WoSoTalk. If you want to ask me about some different cuisines that I like to cook up, what I'm going to be cooking for dinner, use the hashtag DJRedCap, and I'll talk to you. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's get serious, people. I'm sorry. We're going to talk about the Boston-Chicago game first. Like I said, for you, Kim, we'll just ask you about what you've heard from the teams, about these teams, or what you've even seen from them, if you got a chance to see some of them. We'll start with you first, Jen Hayes. I almost said Courtney. Jen Hayes, what have you seen in this Boston-Chicago game?
Oh, boy. You just got to feel bad for Boston because they were so damn snake-bit. I mean, they had that penalty, and then, it just hits off the post, and Mayor's able to get to it. And they had a couple other chances that were saved off the line, and one of them actually looked like it went in, but wasn't called. And then Chicago just gets one lucky shot. Press gets open and does what Press does, which is score no matter what. So, yeah, I think based on the overall balance, Boston may have been the better side and would have been favored to get a result, but it just hasn't been happening for them this season. I don't know if it's just they're focused so much on improving defensively that offensively they've kind of stalled, but it's yeah, it was so unlucky for them.
Well, that sounds good for us Sky Blue fans. So, Kim, can you tell us a little bit about Boston, expectations when playing against them, and then Chicago?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to play against Boston because I actually was drafted there now 2.5 years ago. So I know a bunch of the girls on the team. So I know them very well. I know how they play. Obviously, the team's a lot different than it was. But although it's unfortunate for them they haven't scored a goal in the first 4 games, I still have watched almost every single one of their games, and they're still a very talented team. And like Jen said, they've been extremely unlucky, like with the PK and with some other chances that they've had. They're still a dangerous team, like every other team in the league, and anything can happen. So we're obviously not going to take them lightly. And they're just obviously there are a couple of their dangerous players like McCaffrey and Mewis and Kaya Simone. Like we're definitely going to keep an eye on those players, and hopefully we'll pull out the win. But they definitely still are a talented team, and I think that they're young as well. So they're definitely young and eager, and just because they haven't gotten the results that they wanted the past couple of games, I don't think that we can necessarily write them off yet.
Yep, I agree with you on that. Like for me, I guess I'll talk more about Boston because Chicago, they went in there and got a 1-0 win and got what they needed, the 3 points. But for Boston, they looked a little bit better to me this year. I mean, this game actually, to be honest, I mean, it still came out with nothing or a bit unlucky, but it was more enjoyable watching them because sometimes it was like a struggle. I won't lie watching them because it's just like they're grinding, or the other and just they come up with absolutely nothing. But I mean, feel like they're gonna, I think they'll bring it along. The fact that they're a younger team too is a thing where maybe it's gonna take a little time for them to develop. And with the new pieces, they have in a new coach, so it'll probably take some time. But I mean, yeah, it's gonna be a rough season. I just hope that next week isn't the week that they start scoring goals. That's all I'm gonna say.
I've been saying the same thing.
That's all. That's what I was worried about too. I was like, now watch they come and they actually score some goals. But yeah, I mean, like Chicago, they did what they needed to do. Chicago's a team where it's just like, like I always say, very possession based or whatever. And I see what they're trying to do. Most of the time you understand what they're going to do. They're a team that I expect to be near the top table still. Like I said, more to come, so we'll see how that goes. But let's move on to a game that was actually a bit more interesting for some of us. Washington versus Portland. We'll start with you, Jen, because you were actually at the game and none of us was. You may let loose on what happened at that Washington versus Portland game.
I have an OP coming up to let loose on what actually happened. That game was so. It was rough from the beginning. It really was. And I knew it was going to be a hard-fought game, and it was going to be a good game. These are the only two unbeaten teams left. So I knew it was going to be a good game. It was very physical, so you could see it coming out, especially with that the more frustrated the players got, the more physical the game got. So it was a great game. Beautiful soccer was played.
I agree with that.
As usual, the refs pissed everybody off. But again, more on that Wednesday. Yeah, other than that, I mean, both teams had a lot of chances.
Yeah.
And the major talking point was, of course, Tobin Heath getting that second goal late in the second half. Mm-hmm. And after that, Washington really came out. Like, they came out strong. They started just launching stuff away. A couple of chances that were just barely wide. I would have loved to see him sink them in, of course, as a Spirit fan. And once Christine Nairn came in, I feel like she really made a difference in that. She started pushing forward a lot. We saw her fresh legs coming in and kind of freshened the team a little bit. Our defense, I thought, was stellar. Our backline normally is. So once again, by being able to shut down, Dagny Brynjarsdottir, who has been phenomenal so far this season, by shutting down Tobin Heath, who has assisted on every single goal. So major props to our backline for that. We had one major chance, I think, when Crystal Dunn hit the back of the net. They called it offside. I was there. I was on the other end of the field, though, so I couldn't see if it was, legitimately offside. But from what I heard, it was extremely close. So that was our one chance where we got excited for a minute, and then it got pulled out from under us because the Spirit loves breaking my heart. So hopefully next week we'll get another 3 points. We're still top of the table, so I can't complain too much about that. And like I said, it was a beautiful game. It was physical. I only wish the ref would have been able to kind of make it a little less dangerous. There were some injuries during the game that may have been preventable. So
yeah, that was a dangerous game. All right, Kim, you actually got to see Washington, so can you tell us a little bit about them and then talk about Portland for us?
Yeah, so I did not actually. I just saw the highlights of the game from 2 days ago because we were playing, obviously, while they were playing. But, yeah, we saw Washington 2 weeks ago, and it was our home opener. Obviously, unfortunate result for us. I didn't think it was a well-played game on both ends. Definitely from our end, we had a lot. We just didn't come out with the energy that we should be coming out with, and obviously Washington capitalized on their chances because they had both teams had few chances, and they capitalized on theirs, and we didn't capitalize on ours. Clearly, for Washington, they have Crystal Dunn, who's obviously just dangerous whenever she's on the ball, whenever she's off the ball. So not to say that they don't have obviously other great players, but I think their team will actually get better with this as the season goes on as well, because
I think so.
they looked a little bit unorganized, and that obviously takes time for the second game of the season. And I didn't watch the game against Portland, but the way it sounds is they did well against obviously a very stacked team at Portland. And we haven't seen Portland. We haven't seen Portland yet, but I've watched their preseason game against Seattle, and although Seattle seemed to outplay them, they still looked very, very good and very sharp early on. And obviously Mark coming from Washington and then going over to Portland, he's kind of bringing what he brought together at the Spirit. He's bringing that with him to Portland, and now dealing with players that have bigger names. So I think it's a hard job for him, because he's got to now manage players that are used to maybe playing very individually and now trying to play as a team. But overall, they've obviously done very, very well. And yeah, I didn't get a chance to watch the game though.
We understand. Yeah, no, but I agree with what you're saying. Like I said, Spirit looked a bit actually better. It was a good game back and forth, real fast pace. It ended up being a lot of the refereeing. That's what you're going to see. Like, it was a real big ref issue, and we're going to have an opinion piece by Jen Carl on Wednesday about that. So that'd be good. But let's talk about a game that you were actually at: Sky Blue versus the Flash. Can you tell us a bit about what happened with that game?
On our end, we had a great first half. Obviously, it needs to be better, but we did have a very good first half. We're up 1-0 at halftime, and basically our halftime speech was, let's win this half. We have 45 minutes left. We're doing well. Let's just do even better. And we came out and we didn't. We didn't do better, and it's obviously unfortunate because Western New York came back and scored. I mean, they scored off a handball, obviously, which it was a handball. I'm not saying it wasn't a handball, but it still kind of stinks because it's just unfortunate, because when a player shoots at the goal and it hits someone's hand on accident, it's obviously not ideal. But they capitalized on that chance, and then towards it was like 5 or 6 minutes later, Jessica McDonald challenged our keeper, Caroline Stanley, and I actually originally was like screaming from the bench, it's a foul, but I rewatched it over multiple times, and my team might kill me for this, but I don't think it was a foul. I think it was a decently fair challenge, and we kind of stopped and watched and turned to the ref and was like, that was a foul, because in the moment that's what it appeared to be, but and they capitalized on that opportunity, and we just couldn't really recover from that.
DJ, did you freeze?
He did freeze.
Oh no, DJ! Oh boy.
While he's figuring his life out, Jen Hayes, do you have anything to say on the game?
Yeah, Flash were really, really lucky to get out of there with 3 points. First half, I did think Sky Blue was a better side. They were certainly playing better, but I think Flash are more of a second half team. Played kind of blah in the first half and then made the adjustments and come out looking better. As far as the PK goes, yeah, kind of unfortunate, but when it hits the hand, refs are going to call that 99% of the time, so it's a bit hard on Sky Blue because I thought they played really well. That through ball from Rocky up to Maya Hayes was something that they've been kind of looking to do for most of the half, and they pulled it off, and even though D'Angelo came out well, she placed it in probably the one spot where it couldn't be saved. So that was a really good goal. As far as the challenge, I actually did watch it. I actually thought it was a foul at first, but ref calls it the way they want to call it, and I'm happy Flash got the 3 points, but I think we were pretty fortunate.
Yeah, my heart was broken watching the game naturally, but And my heart was broken at the home opener. I was there too, crying. So I mean, I don't know. I don't want to get used to this all season, but yeah. I mean, I thought like I liked how certain players played throughout the game. I thought Nikki Stanton was pretty tough midfield. Did a pretty good job. You know, as like back there defend with helping the defense and stuff, covering them. I thought Killian did good going forward. Rocky did pretty good. Like I thought we looked good at times or whatever. It's just like we ended up with those like in the second half. We ended up being like it really killed us or whatever. Just those two little chances or I guess I'll say moments really did us in, because I was really thinking like, okay, if we go to, even if we lose the league, 'cause I know we're not a team really, we're going to come out, score a ton of goals, we can still hold on to this or whatever, and it didn't work out for us, and my connection keeps messing up, so excuse me if I crash out again, but continue.
Oh, and there he goes.
Right now. Okay. Well, let's move on then. So until he gets back, we'll move on to, I guess, Houston and Kansas City. Jen Hayes, what do you think about FC Kansas City facing their defeat against Houston?
What do I think about what?
FC Kansas City and their defeat against Houston.
Oh, that one was hard because I thought like they were in control for about 90% of the game. Lydia Williams was basically the only thing keeping them off the board at times. But then Houston had that 5-minute stretch in the second half where they scored those 2 goals, and that was pretty much all she wrote. With the lack of options Kansas City has up top, I didn't see them really getting back into that game. You know, they did get the penalty that Averbush did well to put away, but it's just I had them pick the second to start off. I'm seriously rethinking that because it's just not happening. I don't think it's going to happen for them this year.
All right, and go to Kim about FC Kansas City and then Houston. Talked about those two teams.
So we played Houston last week, and we tied 0-0. They were missing a couple midfielders, but they still had their strong front line, and we came out of that game obviously not happy that we didn't get the win, but also we came out of an away game on a really big field against a very, very good front line, a very fast front line with 1 point, and obviously it's better than 0, but our defenders, when they came up and we were all talking in the locker room, they were like, that is the fastest front line we've ever played against. So it's true because they were just in behind, and Rachel Daly is clearly showing that she'll be a force this whole entire season. So we're very fortunate to have obviously not been scored on by that front line. And I think there was some stat where they had scored in like 9 games in a row, or they had some. This was like their first shutout. Like we shut them out for the first time in however many games. There was some stat for that. That was a long time that they hadn't scored a goal in a game. As for Kansas City, new team. There's a lot of players that I played with Kansas City in preseason last year, so I know some of the players from last year, but they're very new. Honestly, I can't say I maybe caught one of their games, maybe a couple of weeks ago, maybe their opener. But that's probably one team that I don't know that much of, other than playing with them. I don't know that much about them. Obviously, Yale is now playing in the back, which is
Right.
new. She did that somewhat last year, but it's new for her. But also you have Yale and Becky, so that's a good back duo. And Heo, I love playing with Heo more than anyone because she works so hard. And who we have in the midfield, I guess Amanda Ladder, she's in the midfield, and who else is in their midfield?
And then they got Buzz that's playing back there, plays for them.
Yes.
Only for a week.
Yeah, only for a week. Yeah, Buzz is retiring. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But that I believe that they were down. They were down 2. And I watched the highlights, so they were down 2-0, and they scored the PK. But Houston is a very strong offensive side, so we were lucky to keep them off the board. And Kansas obviously didn't really do that.
Yeah, Houston looks like that. I mean, just how they attack, they're so fast going forward. It looks like a team that'll give any backline troubles. And for FC Kansas City, the main issue it's like right now it looks like they have no cutting edge. Anytime they have possession, everything is just they don't look a threat at all. And it's just like, well, that's going to happen. You lose so many like 13 players like they have. So it's it's going to be a rough year for him, looks like, really. And Houston, like I said, I expect good things from them for the rest of the year daily. And then, like I said, Ojai hasn't even really gotten to it or got to play as much. So we'll wait to see them in the long run. Orlando versus Seattle. It's an interesting game. We'll go to you, Jen, and then we'll go to Kim to wrap it up.
Which Jen?
Oh, Carl, my mistake. I knew which Jen I meant. I knew.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it a little bit in our panel. I think a major advantage Orlando has playing at home is that they're used to their turf. And that turf is proving to be time and time again for every team that goes to visit them. So, Kim, be careful when you go to Orlando. It's claimed, Charlie Lloyd, and it's very uneven. And I think Orlando, gets to see it, but it does a lot against the away teams when they're not sure, which patch of turf the ball's going to speed up and which one it's going to slow down. So that's been an issue for away teams in Orlando. That being said, Seattle did not have a great game.
No.
Things looked really messy. I said last time I was on, I think it was last week or something, that in my mind Seattle has one of the best defenses in the league. I thought for sure they were going to be able to shut down Orlando. I don't know what was happening with them. I don't know if it was just, again, the turf, the environment, the travel, whatever it was. They did not have a great game.
No, yeah, that's true.
Orlando definitely capitalized on that, so good for them for doing so. Congrats to Apple for her goal. That was nice to see. So her first goal in purple. So moving forward, we'll see what happens. I'm hoping someone can figure out the turf down there other than Orlando.
The turf monsters claiming a lot of lives right now. Kim, you want to give us a quick wrap up on Orlando, what you've heard about them, and then that other team that I really don't mention. Oh, Seattle, that's what they call it. Yes.
Thanks, Jen, for that update on Orlando's field. First of all, I did not know that, and I'm curious as to why they're like, it's such a nice stadium. Why would the turf be like that?
Really, that is kind of weird.
They're building a new stadium, so they really haven't put any funding into, making the Citrus Bowl the field it needs to be right now. So I think they're just pouring everything they have into the new stadium for both in Orlando City. So unfortunately, for this layover year, it's suffering big time.
Yeah. So I'd agree with you, Jen, about the game. Seattle didn't have a great game, and also losing Fishlock with injury. I think that put them off, because Little and Fishlock feed off each other, and when they're on, they are on. So obviously that's a big. They're missing that piece of their puzzle. I did watch the game. I did catch the game, and I was very happy to see Apple score that. And actually, fun fact, she's been 11 years cancer-free, and she scored in the 11th minute, her first goal to Orlando in the 11th minute, and I thought that was really cool. Yeah. And then Leanne Sanderson kind of just scored the insurance goal, obviously off of Alex Morgan shot it, and Hope made a good save, and Leanne was right there to follow it up, which is really good to see from her, because although she hasn't been starting, every time she's gotten in a game against Orlando, she's scored 2 goals so far, and it is not starting. So she comes in and she definitely makes a change in the game. Seattle just looked kind of out of whack to me.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, they were kind of out of whack, and then, like I said, it seems like Sanderson keeps making an impact every time, Jim Carl. All right, well, we got to get Kim out of here, so we can't ask any questions, so we'll just let you go. Sorry about that.
You can ask. Give me 5 more. I can go 5 more minutes.
Okay, good. Well, then I'll let Jen Carl ask her question, and then Jen Hayes ask her question. So Jen Carl asks a question. Shoot. Go.
All right, real quick. Talk about someone you admire. Who do you look up to? Who do you admire? Who do you like? Who makes a difference to you in your mind when you're out on that field? Who do you think of?
In my mind, when I'm on the field, someone I play with, or someone I played for, or just anybody.
Either way, just someone that inspires you to go out there and like give the best game you absolutely can, other than obviously your own self-motivation.
Other than, say it again.
Other than like your own self-motivation, like someone who, when you get on the field, is your person motivated.
Let me think about that. That's a good question.
I know, tough question, Jane Girl. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
Don't do that to our guests. Don't listen to her. You don't have to answer that if you don't want to.
No, that's a really good question. I feel like I'm very good at being present. So when I'm playing, I look up to who I'm playing with and who's that calming voice in my head when I'm playing with my team. So for every team that I've played on, I've kind of had different people fill those roles. So like now when I play, I always tell Sarah Killian, I'm like, I love playing with you because you make me, like, I'm sometimes frantic. You make me a calmer player, and you're like, it's easy. Just pass the ball, do your job. It's easy. And then I just have had in college, I played next to a girl, Caitlin Kerr, one of my very good friends, and she was that same type of player. So I feel like whenever I'm playing, who I'm feeding off of and being inspired by who I'm playing with, because I like to think that I'm very present in the moment, and I need other people to help me play the best that I can play, because my style of play too, I don't hold on to the ball for very long, and I need the other people around me. So I would say different people at different times, depending on who I'm playing with.
Nice. Thank you for answering that tough question. Next person, Jen Hayes. Question.
Yeah. How does the level of competition in the NWSL compare to other leagues you've played in?
Okay, so I played in the Damallsvenskan in Sweden, and then I also trained with Chelsea Ladies last February. So the style, I can't say one is better than the other. The style is just different. Like in the U.S., we're just athletic as well as obviously talented and skill-wise. But when I was in Sweden, the game, I felt like I played forward, obviously, and I felt like I didn't run as much because we held on to the ball more, and we were safer with our passes and like picked our moments. When in the U.S., Americans just take more risk in general, and I think that the transition, there's only maybe you can connect a couple passes and then the ball turns over. When in Sweden, I felt like our team and the teams we played against kept the ball longer, and we played with lower pressure, so we weren't high pressing. We were pressing at maybe the 50-yard line. That's when we were pressing. So we attempt at times to high press with Sky Blue. So when you're high pressing, there's a higher chance of the other team turning over the ball, but you're also getting more tired. In Sweden, it was you kept it, and you picked your moments, and then you kept it. The back line would pass around back and forth for a minute at a time. So yeah, that's what I would say is the difference. But I've played with talented players in both countries, very, very talented players, and players that you can pick a player up and put them in another league and they'd still be successful. It's just the style is different in Europe in general, and the same thing for Chelsea. It's like the players might not be as fast, but they grew up watching soccer, so the way that they transition in the game, like in the U.S. we have to be taught that because we don't watch soccer as little kids, and in other places like England and Sweden, they're watching soccer from the time they're younger. So a position change, or like if someone decides to go forward, like they naturally just slide into that position because they understand the game more. They understand the game more the way the men play it, and we understand it more the way like we watch growing up. We watch basketball, we watch football, so we're like, oh, I'm gonna be big and strong and fast, and then I'm gonna be skilled. Yeah.
Understand. But yeah, actually we were talking to a grassroots coach about that. He says the technical side we forget. It's just like about being big and strong and very physical a lot of the time. So yeah, that's understandable how we're just training our skills. All right, my question's real simple. I love food, so I'm going to ask you what's your favorite food, naturally.
I have 3 favorite foods.
Okay, that's good.
Pizza,
Okay.
pasta, and bagels.
I like all three. That's very good. Very good. You passed the test. Very
All
good.
the
So
carbs.
you're definitely a friend of OTP now. Thank you for coming on, Kim. We appreciate it. Anytime you want to come on and just joke around with us, we're all up for that. But yeah, take care and have a good season. Appreciate it. Let's get some wins, Sky Blue. Come on now.
Yes.
Come on now.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Have a good
Yep.
night.
All right, take care. All right, guys. So that was Kim. We had a fun time. Now you know what we're going to do. Talk about our player of the week, and then we're going to give a quick thing of who we got winning the rest of the games. So we're going to start with you first, Jen Hayes. Who is your player of the week?
Oh, definitely Sam Whitman. Absolutely 100% for sure. I mean, she had an appearance against Chicago that was just kind of blah. It wasn't really that great. But this game, she was all over that midfield. Just helping to neutralize Kim Little and Keelan Winters and everybody else in there. And she made this one run like really late in the first half, just kind of like a Maradona or a Messi or a Pele, where she was like whoop, scooting around all these different defenders and getting a pass off. It was great. I was so impressed with her. So I picked Sam Whitman.
Jen, who do you have as your player of the week?
Yeah, I always say I'm never going to pick Spirit player, and this season I've failed miserably at that because this is the second time already I've picked a Spirit player. But she deserved it because she got shafted for Rookie of the Year last year. I went with Megan Oyster.
Well done.
I just thought, yeah, if I could pick the entire Spirit line, I would have, because the fact that they shut down a Portland team that has managed to find points out of basically nothing this season, I thought was huge. And Megan Oyster played a huge role in that. She did get a yellow at one point, but it wasn't enough for me to diminish what she did the rest of the game. It was just a phenomenal showing by her shutting down Portland's offense.
Good stuff. Personally, I wanted to go with Nikki Stanton because I just liked the job she did when she was out there, but I usually don't go with people from the losing teams. It's like picking MVP on a losing team almost, like A-Rod that one year we won MVP. Baseball fans, But I went with Rebecca Morris because I thought like I was playing center back and they actually won, and she actually did a pretty decent job in my opinion. That was kind of cool to see her playing that position and doing a job. So I don't know, with that carousel of center backs for the Houston Dash, to see her plugged in there and actually contribute well was a good thing for them because, defense is going to be the key for them if they really want to take it to the next level. So I chose Rebecca Morrow. So that's my player of the week. Now we're going to go do our pick'ems real quick to who we got winning, and we might tell why if we really like you. I like you, viewers, so I'll tell you why. All right, let's go with Jen Hayes first. First game we're going to do is Sky Blue versus Boston Breakers. Who you got?
Sky Blue. Yeah, no. Considering they were pretty much in control of the game, even though they lost, they had a firm grip on it, and I honestly thought they were going to win until those two late goals happened.
Mm-hmm.
And Boston, they played well, but like I said, it's just something just keeping the ball out of the back of the net. So I don't see that changing this week because Sky Blue is a pretty strong defensive team. So I'll go 2-0 Sky Blue.
Sounds good. Jen, who you got? Carl?
I'm going Sky Blue too. I think Boston will at some point figure their lives out, but like Hayes said, I don't think this is the week for them to do that. I like Sky Blue here. I like the fact that they're playing at home. I like the fact that they had such a good first half against Western New York. If they can just figure out how to stretch that, I think they'll be golden. So I'm actually going to completely agree with Hayes here. I'm going to go 2-0 Sky Blue.
Yeah, you guys, everything said everything I was feeling. I was thinking this is going to be our week to actually get the extra W on that, in the standings. I got Sky Blue. I think we're going to win a pretty decently game. It'll be pretty comfortable. I just don't fear Boston, and I don't think a lot of teams do because they haven't scored yet, and I don't think this is going to be the week. I think our defense is good, and I think our attack is really coming along. I like what we did last week, too. So I think it's going to be Sky Blue. Clean sweep. That means that we will lose. No, Sky Blue will win. All right, let's go to the next game. Jen Hayes, who you got in FC Kansas City versus Chicago Red Stars?
I'm I give Chicago a slight edge on this one, even though they didn't play that great against Boston. It really came down to the one lucky chance against Press.
Yep.
Kansas City is almost as inept offensively as Boston, and I think they have a better goalkeeper than what they faced against. What they've then I'm got distracted. Yeah, even though Kansas City has a better goalkeeper than what Chicago faced in Boston, I still think they will get at least one in, and I don't really see anybody on Kansas City scoring, so I'll give it another 1-0 to Chicago.
Carl, who you got?
Kansas City has scorned me terribly this season every time I pick them. But it's Buzz's last game. Chicago is very stingy defensively. In my personal opinion, I feel like they've gotten a bit lucky offensively. It's been Kristen Press in the right place at the right time. Beyond that, I don't know that they've appeared that threatening to me on the offense. So, with Buzz's last game, Kansas City playing at home, I'm going to go 1-0 Kansas City.
Ooh, all right. I've been struggling to pick them, and this was a team always say you pick 70% of the time they'll win, but I'm going to have to go with Chicago, and it's going to be a close game. Like 1-0 or something. Chicago, I guess, slowly will come along. FC Kansas City I think this is what they are. Just like cutting edge. They don't look a threat at times. Hill looks a threat sometimes, but the rest of the team is not deadly going forward. And this is just like, what do we do kind of type of thing when they have the ball sometimes. Yeah, they're really missing they're like A-Rods and stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to be Chicago like 1-0. Washington Spirit versus Houston Dash. We shall go to you, Jen Carl.
Yeah, I think this will be a tough one for us. Just based on how we did against Portland. It was beautiful soccer, but you could tell when the players were getting frustrated, which is a downside. So as long as they keep their cool, don't get frustrated, and one thing about the Spirit, I love it and I hate it. Stoppage time. They play brilliantly in stoppage time, which is fantastic when you have 4 minutes of stoppage time. It really sucks when you have 1 minute of stoppage time, because that's not enough time to make up for an entire game where you weren't necessarily playing your best. So, I think we were strong against Portland. We obviously didn't get the 3 points, but we came away with 1, which was huge. We're playing at home again. I'm going to say 2-1 Spirit.
Sounds good. Jen Hayes, who do you got?
I'm going with a 2-2 draw.
All right, sounds good. Orlando versus Western New York Flash. Who do you got, Jen Hayes?
This pains me, considering that Orlando has been so awesome at home and so not so awesome on the road. I'm actually giving Orlando the edge. Flash's defense has been really shaky, and offensively we haven't gotten a lot going, so I'll go 2-1 Orlando.
Who you got, Carl?
I am not going with Orlando. Shocking. I know. I'm going to go with Western New York. I'm going to say 1-0. I think a slight advantage that they have is that they play on turf. It's not obviously the same turf that Orlando has, but they played on really crappy turf last year. So, they're used to not necessarily having the full effect of the grass stadiums that maybe some of the other teams do, or having, very high-level turf or whatever. So I think the advantage that Orlando's been having at home is going to be minimized a little bit. Western New York saw John Yule come in, saw Jess McDonald back. They made a huge difference in the game. So I'm going to give this one to the Flash.
Sounds good. I didn't pick my Spirit, so I'm going to say I picked the Spirit in that game. And the next one is, I want to go, I guess I'll go Orlando. I mean, I don't know, they've impressed me even though I really wasn't high on them. In the Flash, I'm like more of a Sam Ewis fan. I think anything, I keep wanting her to like succeed, but it seems like the rest of the team is just struggling overall. I think I'll go Orlando. Let's do our last one, Seattle versus Portland. The fun game of the week right here. Who you got? Hayes. I had a brain freeze right there.
Is the game is at Seattle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, considering Portland's going to be missing Tobin, and it's at home, putting aside the loss they had to Sky Blue, I still got to give Seattle the edge. I'm going Seattle 2-0.
Yeah. Who you got, Carl?
Missing Tobin's definitely going to hurt. This was probably the worst game of the season she could possibly miss. So it's a tough call because she hasn't scored any goals, but she assisted on every single one, which is huge. I'm actually going to call this one a draw. I'm gonna go 1-1.
I guess I can understand that one. Yeah. Wow, this is a tough one for me. Let me go. I don't know. Seattle's a beast there in their place, so I'll go Seattle, but I'm not confident about it. But it's like I'll go Seattle. And I say they'll win like 2-0 because I think they're gonna bounce back from how they looked in that Orlando game where they looked like an absolute mess in my opinion. It wasn't a Seattle-like performance. That's the best way to always put that. But yeah, so I'll go with Seattle. All right. Well, guys, I think we did a good job. Kim did an amazing job. We all look great. Where's your tie at, Jen Hayes?
I don't wear ties. Plumbers do not wear ties, and I'm being a plumber right now.
Well, we'll handle that a little bit later. Thank you guys. If you like the channel, please sure to subscribe because we're going to have a opinion piece from Jen Carl. That Spirit fan from Jen Carl, Jake's takes tomorrow. So we got stuff like Wednesday. We usually hit you up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then we let you go about your day on Friday to do your own thing. I'm your host, DJ Red Cap. This is another episode of Off the Post. We will see you.
One quick thing.
What?
I just want to reveal. For our game of the week, we will be honoring Ms. Buskowski in her final match and covering FC Kansas City versus Chicago Red Stars.
Oh, that's nice of us to say skip the Portland game. So very good, very good. So we're looking out for you, Buzz. So that's the game of our week. Be sure to check that out, and we will see you guys soon. Time to wave, and then we can end this. Bye bye.